mystical breeze in the morning till the dawning of a new day.
Everybody, and welcome to the Sista Lil show on Bless Radio. If you can't find us on the FM, it is www.blessradio.org. Now, for tonight's show, we're going to be reasoning with Theo, Brother Theo, who you've heard on the show before when we had a 3-part series a month ago. And tonight's show is going to be finding your purpose, and it's intertwining with identity. But before we go on into our reasoning sessions with Brother Theo, who is quietly sat at the back of the studio, we're going to start with Maccabee, and it's called Get Out of the Way. Here we go.
Yeah, you see the world I cry out for culture.
Just something a little different in line with Marcus Garvey's
need. Mentally stimulating so them brain get feed. A culture fi take the lead, full speed. Hey yo, get out of the way, say move over. Culture is coming like a bulldozer. Get out of the way, better believe we. Say you can't stop the culture so easy. Get out of the way, say move over. Culture is coming like a bulldozer. Get out of the way, better believe we. Say you can't stop the culture so easy. You better move. Culture no response like Barry Salmon say we putting up resistance. They are for the 12, yes I for the distance. Say culture fighting for its very existence. Big up all the world veteran who still depend it. Big up all the new culture you them like chronics. If the wicked them did have them way them would have banned it. Then can't stop the culture from go around the planet. Get out of the way, move over. Culture is coming like a bulldozer. Get out of the way. Better
This
believe
one's for you,
me.
Jack
Say you
Red.
can't stop the
Fire
culture so
burning.
easy. Get out of the way. Say move over. Culture is coming like a bulldozer. Get out of the way. Better believe we. Say you can't stop the culture so easy. Anything we get in the way get flattened. Wicked get shook and I wonder what happened. God say some of the youth them a take up the button. You know say the culture it can't be forgotten. Full speed ahead. Edify your mind instead of left your brain dead. Hotter fire lyrics just a bonfire red. Hey Babylon you better mind where you trade. Do you hear what I said? Get out of the way. Move over. Culture is coming like a bulldozer. Get out of the way. Better believe we. Say you can't stop the culture so easy. Get out of the way. Move over. Culture is coming like a bulldozer. Get out of the way. Better believe we. Say you can't stop the culture, yo. Wicked them is going all out. From every rock and them a crawl out. Look what them a do and them a ball out. Long time we fall out. Me say them a forget call out. We a tackle them and kick the ball out. Culture defender. As a youth man I remember. No defeat, no surrender. I a champion. Wicked man them a the contender. Burn out the wicked man agenda. Get out of the way. Say move over. Culture is coming like a bulldozer. Get out of the way. Better believe we. Say you can't stop the culture so easy. Get out of the way. Say move over. Culture is coming like a bulldozer. Get out of the way. Better believe we. Say you can't stop the culture so easy. You better move. Culture no response. Like Berry Salmon say we putting up resistance. They are for the 12. Yes, I feel the distance. Say culture fighting for its very existence. Big up all the world veteran who still depend it. Big up all the new culture, you them like chronics. If the wicked them did have them way, them would have banned it. Then can't stop the culture from go around the planet. Get out of the way.
Free up your mind. Free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. It's time to take a step onto a higher plane. To reach a point where we can't get hurt again. This is for our future. We got to lay the seeds. Living in the belly of oppression, which needs a laxative. Free up your mind. Free up your mind. You got to free up your mind.
Bless. You're in tune to bless.
By your works, you get paid. Jah helps a man who helps himself. You got to do the right thing. Let your work be positive. Living in the midst of an illusion which needs reality. Free up your mind. Free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. More than 400 million in oppression. Oh yeah. It's more make a change, make a change. Free up your mind. Creates the spell, locks us in perpetual hell. He who writes the scripts of war writes the words of religion. Living in the midst of a deception, the truth can never change. Free, free up your mind. Free, free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. You got to free up your mind. You got to free, yeah, up your mind.
over the land. Them never used to keep up no master. Oh, hold them, Marcus, hold them. Prophecy fulfilled. Oh, catch them, Yahweh, catch them. Hold them, Marcus, hold them. Oh, Marcus, Yahweh, Marcus.
Yes, we cannot forget the great Marcus Garvey. And this next track coming up is Bye Bye Bronix featuring Jamania, and it's called Tra La 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 La.
Hey. Tra la 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 la. Tra la 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 la. Tra la 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 la. I and I show Jara Stafara. Yeah. Heal up the most high. Yeah. Tra la 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 la. Tra la 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 la. Tra la 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 la. I and I show Jara Stafara. Yeah. Heal up the most high. Yeah. We have feel up the most high. Jah. Hail in the most high. Jah. We have feel up the most high. Jah. I conqueror. Yo. We have feel in the most high. Jah. Hail up the most high. Jah. We have feel up the most high. Jah. I conqueror. Jah is the seed, the root, the stem, the branch, and the leaf. Jah is the veg, the fruit, the herb, the birds, and the bees. Jah make the earth, the sky, the land, and distant seas. That's why we have to give Jah all the thanks and praise. Jah live in a I, Jah live in a you, Jah love is all around. No place on this earth where Jah love is never found, yo. How my sound well, tell me how my sound well. I still I see, I will the triple crown. Cha la 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 la. Cha la 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 la. Cha la 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 la. I and I so Jara Stafara, yeah. Heal up the most high, yeah. So cha la 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 la. Cha la 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 la. Cha la 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 la. I and I so Jara Stafara, yeah. Heal up the most high, yeah. Jah is the flowers, the trees, and all good things like these. Jah is the rain, the snow, the sun, and the cool breeze. Jah is the sun, the moon, the stars, and all living things. Universal waves, four corners, four winds. Jah is the truth, the light, my rock, protect us from sins. Jah is the right, the side, my mind to keep us right. Wherever you go, wherever you step, remember Jah. More blessings and joy, the most I will provide. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I and I show Jara Stafara, yeah. Heal up the most high, yeah. So la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I and I show Jara Stafara, yeah. Heal him the most high, yeah. So we are feeling the most high, Jah. Hail up the most high, Jah. We are feeling the most high, Jah. I conqueror. So we are feeling up the most high, Jah. Hail in the most high, Jah. We are feeling up the most high, Jah. I conqueror. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I show Jara Stafara, yeah. Heal up the most high, yeah. So la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. I show Jara Stafara, yeah.
Thanks for calling
Heal up the most
8038.
high, yeah. So we are feeling the most high, Jah. Hail up the most high, Jah.
It's up to me and you. Up to me and you. It's up to
This
me
one
and
is by
you.
Mikey General. It's called Teach
It's
the
up to
Children.
me
It's a
and
7-inch on vinyl.
yeah. What you gonna teach the children? What you gonna teach the youth? What you gonna teach the children? Are you gonna tell them the truth? Eh? So What you gonna teach the children? What you gonna teach the youth? Hey, what you gonna teach the children? Are you gonna tell them the truth? Teach them about love, life, liberty, justice and equality for all of humanity. All of humanity. Cause we don't have any option. We have to keep them from corruption. That is mashing up the land. We have to show them the right from wrong. So, what you gonna teach the children? What you gonna teach the youth? What you gonna teach the children? Are you gonna tell them the truth? Whoa. What you gonna teach the children? What you gonna teach the youth? What you gonna teach the children? Are you gonna tell them the truth? Set an example by the life you live.
Blessed, blessed, blessed radio. Blessed, blessed. You're in tune to Blessed Radio. To Blessed Radio.
Rasta man, love your life. From the rising of the sun until the setting night. Love life. Rasta woman, love your life. Blessing shower down right overnight. Yes, I, Rasta man, love your life. Rising of the sun until the blessing night. Love life. Rasta woman, love your life. Blessing shower down right overnight. Yes, I, Rasta man, love your life. Rasta woman, love your life. Prophet, love your life. Priest, love your life. Your life. Nothing the way ja bust the wall and let me go. Climbing up the ladder, Jaja carry I home. Rastafari powers we reveal and make it known. Mystically deep the power, but we never feel down. Radically, cyclically, prayers go round. Chalice it is burning, bingy jamming all out. Frankincense rising like the smoke from the chillum. God around, all around. Rasta man, love your life. From the rising of the sun until the setting night. Love life. Rasta woman, love your life. Blessing shower down right overnight. Yes, I, Rasta man, love your life. Rising of the sun until the blessing night. Rasta woman, love your life. Blessing shower down right overnight. Yes, I, Rasta man, love your life. Rasta woman, love your life. Prophet, love your life. Priest, love your life. Your life. People around the world, you will be suffering. Poor people, tired of the struggling. Yeah. Well, what was then from the wise now to the prudent. Life is what you're offering now. I rise, scream, dominion, number, I love it. Yeah, I and I conquer it. Yeah. No one would make me stop give praises. No one could make me stop give praise. shower down right overnight. Yes, I, Rasta man, love your life. Rising of the sun unto the blessing night. Love life, Rasta woman, love your life. Blessing shower down right overnight. Yes, I, Rasta man, love your life. Rasta woman, love your life. Prophet, love your life. Priest, love your life. Your life. Lion, love your life. Warrior, love your life.
Bless Radio.
Lion,
Bless. Going to Bless Radio. To Bless Radio.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Rasta man, love your life. Rising of the sun until the setting night. Love life. Rasta woman, love your life. Blessing shower down right overnight. Yes, I. Rasta man, love your life. Rising of the sun until the blessing night. Climbing up the ladder, Jaja carry I home. Rastafari powers reveal and make it known. Mystically dig the power, but we never feel down. Politically, sickly, prayers go round. Shall we set this burning, bring it down and all around. Frankincense rising like this rock from the chillum.
Bless Radio. Bless. Going to Bless Radio. To Bless Radio.
Love your life. Blessing shower down right overnight. Yes, I, Rasta man, love your life. Rasta woman, love your life. Prophet, love your life. Priest, love your life. Your life. Your number, I love it. Yeah. Shower down right overnight. Yes, I, Rasta man, love your life.
I and I is I. And I will always be I.
This next track
No
is
matter
by
how the system
Maccabee.
try.
It's called Be Yourself.
Be yourself. Don't let the system mold you. Be yourself. Don't let the system control you. Be yourself. Don't let the system turn you into sheep. Don't let it turn you into brainwash people. No matter how them try, them can't conquer I. Said don't let the system mold you. Said don't let the system control you. Said don't let it take away your energy. Try keep your individuality. Said don't let the system use you. Don't let the system abuse you. Don't let it control your liberty. Be yourself to the best of your ability. Don't dig it down, yo. Follow you, not follow them. Before you know it, then you're turning in a one of them. You're bowing down to the pounds and the dollar them. Just be true to your words and try to honor them. Don't dig it down, follow you, not follow them. Before you know it, then you're turning in a one of them. You're bowing down to the pounds and the dollar them. Just be true to your words and try to honor them. Yo, be careful of the entity that's trying to sap your energy, trying to take your inner strength and your originality, stopping you from trying to be the way that you're supposed to be, fighting against freedom and your individuality. Use up your mentality when shaping your reality. It's not about the quantity of life, it is the quality. If your mind is truly free, you be who you want to be. Then you will see, yeah, follow you, not follow them. Before you know it, then you're turning in a one of them. You're bowing down to the pounds and the dollar them. Just be true to your words and try to honor them. Yeah, me say follow you, not follow them. Before you know it, then you're turning in a one of them. You're bowing down to the pounds and the dollar them. Just be true to your words and try to honor them. Down, no matter what they want to do, no matter what they want to say, I'm never gonna let them take my soul away, no way. Never gonna get caught up in the games they play. According to your work, I saw you getting your pay. Said I is I say come and what may. I'm giving thanks for life, I miss her each and every day. When I go let the system lead I astray. Hear where me say, follow you, not follow them. Before you know it, then you're turning in a one of them. You're bowing down to the pounds and the dollar them. Just be true to your words and try to honor them. Down, follow you, not follow them. Before you know it, then you're turning in a one of them. You're bowing down to the pounds and the dollar them. Just be true to your words and try to follow them. Miss if they put up resistance, you know it takes strength and it's taking persistence. Spiritual beings having a human existence. No me and no sprint and me come for the distance. Asking Rastafari for some assistance. Some of them no business, them say them no response. Some of them will sell all them soul for a sixpence. Just be yourself cause you are the difference. Yeah, follow you, not follow them. Before you know it, then you're turning in a one of them. You're bowing down to the pounds and the dollar them. Just be true to your words and try to honor them. Down, follow you, not follow them. Before you know it, then you're turning in a one of them. You're bowing down to the pounds and the dollar them. Just be true to your words and try to honor them. Yeah.
Greetings, everybody. Well, we're back on tonight's show. It's Sista Lil here in the studio with Brother Theo. And for those of you who've just joined us, tonight's topic is finding your life's purpose. and it's intertwining with identity. So what do I mean? I mean finding your life purpose and or identity already exists. It's not a finding, it's reconnecting and recognizing your gifts, skills, and attributes. Are going, I guess it's you need to go within to reconnect with the source, which enables you to reconnect with self. And if you want to be fulfilled, happy, content, and experience inner peace and ultimate fulfillment, I guess it's critical that you learn how to find your passions or passion and your life purpose, because without a life purpose as a compass to guide you, your goals and action plans may not be ultimately, I guess, fulfilling you. I guess that's when we see people in situations where they've been working in a particular field, a sector, job sector for quite a while, and they have a lot of dissatisfaction and are disgruntled because they're not finding fulfillment, because they're not fulfilling their life experiences of their skills and who they are, so that they have that equilibrium within themselves. And each one of us is born with a unique life purpose. That's why I'm saying it already exists. You are born with a set of gifts and skills, each individual to the person and their temperaments. So it's identifying, acknowledging and honouring this purpose is perhaps the most important action for self-development that people take. They take the time to understand who they are and what they're here to do, and then they pursue with that passion and enthusiasm a particular area that they find interesting and develop it. So for some of us, our life purpose and passion in life is obvious and very clear from the start. We're born with a set of talents, as I was saying, and through persistent practice we can develop our talents and skills. So children are prime examples of clear purpose. So the reason why I'm using children as an example for observation is that if we watch children from very early, those of you who are parents or grandparents or aunts, or just generally have connection with children, you'll notice certain tendencies that they'll have. So, for example, say a little boy wanted to draw all the time, and now he's in the art world. Another son may always be tapping on, on paint cans or on anything that he finds is tapping away, and now he could be in the music world with along with another family member. And I feel that these natural talents were clear indicators of what they ended up ultimately being passionate about. So something that the child, you see, finds very addictive and is never fed up of tapping away as though they're drumming, or drawing all the time, or reading all the time, or writing all the time, or doing some kind of physical activity like sports all the time. You'll see it's something that they have a natural tendency to. And for some people though, I'd say it isn't easy to identify a passion in the interim, and for some it may take them a long time to find what those are, and they might find themselves asking at one point or another, what should I do with my life, what is my passion, what is my life purpose. Alternately, I guess people can also be enjoying what they do, but want to have a deeper exploration and discover that they're passionate about something else, totally different to what they thought they were gifted in. I see Theo looking like he wants to interject there.
Right, well, firstly, I'd like to, you know, say good evening to all the blessed listeners, and just to reiterate that we're recognizing the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey
Yes.
today, and in a little while, not right now, but I'd also like to spend a little time to make mention of the very talented and creative Aretha Franklin, who passed on, I believe it was a
It
Wednesday.
was yesterday,
I'm sorry, yesterday. It was yesterday.
yeah.
Yes, that's right. So I'll spend a little time and just go through some of how all of this relates to, the life legacy of
These two individuals.
and Marcus Garvey. Now I'm gonna try and come in now on yeah, what you was talking about, the living with according to one's purpose and these things, and the point where you've brought us in to talk about, passions and such. I just want to introductory
Well,
just
passions and natural tendencies towards things.
right, yeah, see, now I always have to kind of like begin with that, in that I spent some time pondering what I used to think of as the nature versus nurture dichotomy. You see, so when we start
Not
to,
one I like.
when we yeah when we start talking about, but you see the thing about it is, obviously, you see, for me, I mean, um, there is actually no such paradox between the two. There's no such dichotomy, because at the end of the day, and if we just pay a little close attention to the words themselves, we see that they are fully in concert with one another. They are pretty much of the same essence. We're more or less looking at the same thing, and really, nature and creation is both reconciled, both nature and nurture, as being just expressions of the same essence in
Yes.
itself. So when we talk about natural talents, we're really talking about what fundamentally is your innate ability to create.
It's your natural
When
disposition.
what that's the natural disposition. What's often called, maybe, what becomes a passion is where one directs their focus, and then that their interest could be solicited by something very, very early and very intriguing in life, and then then the focus is then directed there. It's not to say that there is just one particular isolated talent or ability
Oh,
that
absolutely not.
can be can be cultivated, to that extent, because there's a
Sorry.
yeah, go
The
ahead.
reason why I would say absolutely not, because all people, I believe, are multifaceted. That's why I was saying that you may feel that you have a particular skill set, but then later, perhaps in adult years, you actually discover there are different skill sets that you haven't actually recognized throughout your life's journey. You hear of people all across all ages, after going through the schooling system or non-schooling system, school of life, as in not formal education, and you find that later people may find different skills. Somebody could be a doctor for many years and think that that compassion to helping others that drives them, and that passion to see justice done for other people and helping them, and so forth. You find that perhaps they might find that becoming a landscape gardener later on in life is their calling. So that's what I meant when I was saying that you can be born with a set of skills, or you may perhaps want to you may discover them later, or even if you have discovered your skills, so it's a third option. Later on, you might discover you have other things within you that you haven't recognized. So you can be born with it. You might have to look. You're questioning it, and then also you can have a set of gifts, skills, or natural dispositions to things, however you want to term it, and then find later in life, as you are saying now, Theo, in line with what we were talking about, that you discover another set. So yes, I don't think it's you one actual skill or one gift or one tendency has to be singular.
Yeah, I mean, amongst everything that you were saying, I'm going back to see when you mentioned there's a lot of people who are very unhappy. I mean, this is something I read about some years back that, if I recall, the figure was somewhere quite high, like in the mid 70%, that which or more or less says the majority of people are unhappy in their vocation. They're unhappy in what it is they're doing on a day-to-day basis as a pursuit of in terms of supporting themselves and stuff like that. Which means that I mean, you can easily identify how this kind of thing comes about, because it often starts young, and whereas it may not necessarily be that the environment in which a child is growing their particular focus, or where they've developed an aptitude, or what may be recognized as an aptitude, is recognized, encouraged, and sought to be built upon by those around, and who those create the immediate environment in which they develop all of that. There's also another circumstance in which a child may be then redirected almost against their own better kind of nature, because obviously they don't have the influence on their surroundings at that time. So it's like, you hear about these things quite often where, there may be an artistic element to this child, but, the family tradition is that, you're going to follow your father into the butcher business, or you're going to follow, there's families that their background has established in, for example, the teaching background, the educating background, or maybe the scientific discipline background. So there's a pressure of sorts that is applied from a very early point, from a very early juncture, to steer that person in that direction and say, no matter what, you're going to be a doctor when you grow up. You're going to be a lawyer. Never mind all of this other frivolous things that you have in mind to do. No, you're not going to be doing that. You are going to follow that because your father was a lawman, your grandfather was, your great grandfather was, and it follows along there. So, what I'm really saying at the end of the day, because I'm rambling a little here, but so is that this current moment which we're in, things have been dragged out of balance. In that there are many individuals, there are many people who are locked into a particular mode of operation, which is not really of their making. They'd love to actually do what it is they'd have a passion about, but then they've got to realign their circumstances in such a way before they can even pursue that. And, so...
Well, the first step here is recognition that you are not, you're not ultimately completely happy within your self. That's why I was saying a lack of fulfillment, or a feeling of satisfaction, or a feeling of just being balanced and at peace within yourself, when you are not living your life purpose. And it is intertwined with who you think you are, because if you're sure of yourself and who you are and what you want to be doing and where you want to see yourself ending up, who you are as in your ancestral line, and being quite clear as to what you identify yourself as and which groups you do belong to, and how to interact with all other groups, with a clear understanding of who you are within your group and how you are seen externally from your group also. So there's several things to put into play. So it's that, knowing, then you can start to question, or perhaps you already know you have that you want to do this, or you want to do that, or this is the way you want to live, or not. So it's, if you're not sure, it's about first recognizing why you feel the way you feel. And that is, you're feeling disgruntled, you're not feeling at ease. Why are you not feeling at ease? Why are you feeling disjointed? Because ultimately, you are not liberated by not living your passions, your dreams, your tendencies, the skills. You know, somebody could be a great carpenter. They've got so many ideas and they have this love and understand all the different woods and things of this nature. Or you know how to use synthetic materials and can produce, when they put their minds to it, great pieces of work that could be also practical and useful to others. But it's first recognizing why you feel that way.
Yeah. So the idea, when it comes down to purpose and when it comes to living according to purpose, I mean, what's useful is to have a fairly firm enough grasp of what we're looking at when we talk about purpose in and of itself. So when we start there, it's important to recognize that purpose is somewhat distinct from an aim or a goal. And so a lot of the disgruntlement, a lot of the discomfort, a lot of the disease, you know, we're talking about here, in the sense that someone is unsettled and someone is very, very uncomfortable with their circumstances. And so, yeah, you're right. You're very right in the way that you say this, the very source of that has to be identified, but then of course understanding that the purpose is not necessarily one and the same with a goal.
No.
A purpose is more of a disposition and more of a state than it is an actual target to reach for. And that is something which to a large extent isn't readily understood.
Yeah.
So it's like asking somebody what the purpose was. I was asked this evening, you know, how somebody even knows that they have a purpose. And I thought about it and I thought, well, okay, the only way, if you're actually here, if you are living, if you've manifested as what I like to call a unique pattern of excellence in and of yourself, then purpose is already inherently something that you possess. But so otherwise you would simply just be non-useful energy, which is called entropy. That's all you'd be. So a purpose is already yours by right.
Exactly.
It's
Theo.
already there.
Exactly.
It's already there. So
that's why I was saying in the beginning, we are born with a disposition. We are born with with our own set of skills or gifts or competencies, if you like. We're born with that set already, but it's about it being drawn out and recognizing what they are. You might have a tendency to do certain things or be interested in different things to how you earn your income, as Theo was saying. Perhaps you have more passion and more drive for the things that you're interested in rather than what you work in. Therefore, how do you turn what you're interested in into an area that can generate an income for you in order for you to be living and fulfilling your life purpose? So who are you meant to be? What are the things that you like? I mean, we'll go further on into that a little later, but I feel that we need to give ourselves a bit more credit by recognizing if we've done something well, and we've enjoyed doing this thing, whatever it may be, as within any skill sets across all sectors. Perhaps you need to develop and cultivate that thing that drives you so much more than the current state of work that you are engaged in.
That is absolutely spot on, really. I mean, I just want to reiterate the whole nature of the purpose, not necessarily mean the acts themselves or the aims or the goals themselves. Purpose, more or less, is that kind of tethers somebody to a constant pursuit, and whatever those aims may be. So, in terms of when we talk about purpose, then it's really a case of, as I said, you're talking more about being in a state, and that state maintains you and disciplines you and has you keeping on developing and cultivating whatever that passion may very well be.
Yeah, and that state isn't something that you have to think about doing. That state is you just being you, being at one. You know when people say I and I, so it's you in the eye. It's you in the eye. So you are being in tune with your spiritual self, so that you can live who you are in the true essence. Because many of us know, we are spiritual beings housed in a physical body. This is your house that you're living in. So it is being in tune with that and actually recognizing the energy of that spirit where it lies.
Yeah. See, passion, or what I'm trying to say is maybe it may be very much one way or the other way around, in that, you see, purpose is filtered through passion. See, it's not the actual passion itself. The purpose will drive the passion, because the passion is actually directed by the purpose. You see, so the purpose isn't necessarily just to be a very successful artist, a very accomplished, instrumentalist. That is all kind of balled up in the whole expression of your purpose.
Yes, it's a manifestation of your purpose.
Absolutely.
Excuse us, that was a water break. It's quite warm.
We should have kept that between us there. But so
pause.
Simultaneous one.
Yes.
Yeah, you use the most appertain words there to say it's a manifestation of it.
Yes.
It's a continuance of it, and the purpose is always being in constant pursuit of it.
Yes.
And that maintains the discipline, which then raises the level of competency in whatever area that is.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to, I guess, explore a few areas that people use or can be used to find your life purpose and your true purpose. For some listeners, as we know, you already know your life purpose, but please remember kindness, as we are here to each one teach one. And so we'll explore the things that perhaps you love to do. So I always like this statement, and the statement goes like this: the ease with which positive things happen or come to you means it is meant to be, as it's showing you or showing us aligning up with your spirit's energy, as there is harmony, balance, and equilibrium. You find yourself in a state of pure peace, a little bit like the state you feel when you are surrounded by nature and you feel that rejuvenation in nature. You feel this is the state that you find yourself in, because you are in tune with your own nature. everyone is born with a deep and meaningful purpose that we either already know or we have to discover. Your purpose is not something you need to make up. It is actually already there. You have to uncover it in order to create the life that you want to have. So you may ask yourself things like, what is my life purpose? Or you can begin to look at what are your passions by exploring what do you love to do. What is something that you absolutely love to do, or several things that you absolutely love to do? But also within that love to do is the second part. So what comes easily to you? So when you're doing something or love doing something, is it easy or do you have to struggle to do that particular thing? If it comes to you naturally or easily, as in it's not a struggle for you to do something, whether it's crocheting, being right through to masonry, what do you actually enjoy? And of course, when you discover that, it takes time to cultivate and develop that particular or those talents and gifted. For example, the most gifted musician still has to practice, but it should feel natural to the individual, like rowing downstream rather than upstream. It's not that that heaving down the river. So do you love to teach? Do you love to write? Do you love to coach? Do you love to facilitate, to train? Do you like to do events, workshops, courses? What do you like to do? Do you love to bring other leaders together for conferences or co-create new approaches? Do you love to work with children? Do you love to cook? Do you love football? Do you love collecting antiques? So it's recognizing that, Theo.
What I wanted to contribute at that point was to bring a little insight from an artistic background, and in doing that, I wanted to stress that you see, just singularly, and there may be those who concur and those who maybe not, but coming from an artistic background, the whole idea of practicing, I do kind of understand that the message being put there, when there's passion in something that one is doing, then that there's less of a sense of applying duress to themselves in order to surmount even steep learning curves, because the word you used earlier on is quite applicable to this, in that it's always exploration, and it's very rarely is it referred to as actually being an arduous practicing process. Oftentimes, because I said there are sometimes these things where things are out of balance. Yes. There may be, and I know this is actually the case in the music field, there are very accomplished performers, but that was not the passion. Yeah. It was something that was instilled by somebody else's discipline to keeping them, raising them to a certain level of competency, whether they liked it or not. See, when it comes to an artist that has a passion, the practice, or what's regarded as a practice, would be more of an exploration. If someone loves making things with food, it's more of they take that curiosity, that inquisitiveness, and they want to actually explore the whole possibilities in it, because it's about rising above mediocrity and expressing themselves as excellently as possible in a way that, in their own unique shape and form.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's how a lot of the creativity and beauty in this world has come about. And that's what's often referred to as people being innovative.
Exactly. Exactly. I'd say it's also meaning being in tune with yourself. Now, we are not saying that because you can do a particular area or you've excelled in a particular area that is not something that can be accomplished. It can be accomplished. You can do several things. So, for example, like Theo saying, you can be a doctor or a solicitor, but maybe your passion is in aircrafts or another area. You can still excel in different areas because we are multifaceted as people, but your life purpose is what actually drives you, that passion, as we were saying. And like actually just taking the time to reflect on those things within yourself that you do like and or dislike, start looking into those areas. What do I really like doing? What do I love doing? And I just enjoy it, and it's not so difficult. And any challenge to learn a new area in it, I approach it passionately, and I want to see how you. Say, for example, you're a graphics designer and you deal with motion graphics. You want to see how you can make that move this way or that move that way, and you go out searching how and learning to equip yourself with the tools to actually execute the ideas that you have. All this comes from being in tune with what your gifts are or your natural disposition is, because then you will approach it and basically you'll be grabbing the bull by the horn because you'll want to know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a looking at that whole idea of people being kind of penned into a certain situational circumstance, which has the effect of disengaging what is real, authentic creativity from the individual's ambitions. That is the kind of state of disorder that's been established. So creativity and ambition is very much split.
Yeah.
And the effect, well, what brings that effect is because once a large amount of people or substantial amount of people are actually then funneled into this disordered system of having your aims redirected towards synthetic goals, superficial goals. You've got to actually do your 9 to 5, otherwise you won't be able to meet your rent and things like that. So then creativity and ambition are split, artistry and appreciation are split, because a lot of times, in order to maintain the disorder, genuine innovation has to be suppressed to allow those who the doors have been opened to for other reasons to come through. And okay, that sounds a little bit negative, but then at the same time, it is, like you said, about more or less reconnecting with and remembering those, and obviously seeking out those areas in which it can be expressed. Finding those people who appreciate that and building that momentum, and setting all of that creativity free.
Well, you see, the two fundamental things, creativity needs time and space in order to be executed. In order for a person to actually manifest that, you need the time and space, not just physical space, I mean headspace, in order to really allow that energy to flow, allow you to clear your mind so that you can access those parts of your energy field. So space and time are very important, and you need to take that space and that time to cultivate those things within yourself. So your tendencies that you found, or your natural dispositions that are positive attributes within yourself that you can cultivate and develop yourself into the better version of who you are, in the truth of who you are, not in somebody else's truth. So we're going to play you a few tracks, and the first track is, before I get into that, the reason why we're talking about this is about finding yourself so that you can have that inner peace and that inner joy within your daily life and have a better spiritual experience on this plane. So the first track that I'm going to play is called Joy and Happiness, and it's Records Meet Mikey General.
If you have no confidence in yourself, you're twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence, you've won even before you have started. Yeah, yo. Be positive in your mind. Don't be negative, all you'll find. Negative thinking will get you downhearted, and you'll be beaten before you started. Positive approach can open many doors. Set your heart on your goals, what you want to be done. Knowing yourself what you want to achieve, you receive if you truly believe. Oh, Jaja. Oh, Jaja. Oh, Jaja.
Hero of prayer, glad you're hero to me. As I humbly approach you on my bended knee. Oh, Jah, please give me the ability to understand the importance of humility. In my neck, let thy wisdom of your truth be tied. At the table of my heart may not be spread with pride. In order that I may not stumble, I'm begging you, oh Jah, to make me humble. Let not
This track is Ashanti Sheila meets Bushman, and it's called From the Hills. So we're back with you after that little break there. And we were, for those of you who've just joined us, we were talking about, how identity and how identity and finding your life purpose is totally intertwined. And we were talking about actually spending the time to recognize your skills, things that you are passionate about, so that you can actually start to live out who you are meant to be. You can start to live your dreams by being in tune with your passions and your dreams.
They're living out some dreams close by. We got. I think there's some video game excitement going on. So, yeah, that's what happened there. So, do you remember that though? No. What do you think? Oh man.
Anyway, for those, it is just the shenanigans of a studio.
I think the rest of the road heard all of that excitement going on down there from. Yeah, but that was the days, man. That was the days, man. Space Invaders was the lick back then, isn't it? I'm a Pac-Man person myself, so yeah. Have you got Galaxians back there? Yes.
Do you excuse us? I'm just the referee.
So so on so here we are. Yeah, I was curious about that. I was curious
about that myself.
So
it's called the Space Invaders.
I mean,
that was Pac-Man.
So then, all right.
So back to natural talents being clear indicators of why you and what you ultimately end up being passionate about.
Mm.
What would you say on that note, Theo?
Well, yeah, it's a reiteration. You know, we're innately creative. We're innately creative, and then if you know the extent to which you demonstrate, express that creativity, that's your innate excellence. You see, that's your unique endowment for creating and expressing yourself.
Exactly. And when we're using the word creativity, we're not meaning just being an artist of whichever genre. We're talking about being creative within yourself, like as to your own disposition. Not because some people might think, oh, they're talking about doing something creative, as in from an visual artistic perspective, but no, it's about creating that aspect of yourself, allowing it to come out, developing that particular area. So we before the tracks, the last two tracks we played, we were asking, what qualities do you enjoy? You know, so you'd say, what qualities do I enjoy expressing in the world? So, and ask yourself what the ways you most enjoy expressing those qualities. So, do you, when you're doing something, do you actually like to inspire people, or do you like to empower people, or do you like to teach people, or do you want to share an idea with people, or your concept, or your philosophy, or knowledge? And what is it that you like doing, and what is the effect it has on the observer of what you are doing?
Yeah, I'm coming in from the idea that if we work from the recognition that, you know, that innate creativity we're talking about, and then I found myself musing over, just for example, there are something in I think it's amongst the Yoruba, who practice according to what they call the Ifa. And this, in amongst the 16 truths of the Ifa, is that it's your birthright to be happy and fulfilled.
Absolutely.
And that, taking that creativity, which is always an internal manifestation, which then generates outwards into whatever it is your chosen passion is. That's merely a reflection of something which is coming from within. So then, and then if we also go from the standpoint that, of course, what you are putting out vibrationally is what then you can have the reasonable expectation of receiving back to some measure. You see? So then that genuine outgrowth or outpouring then is also an aspect of that passion, driven by that purpose, which we've already said has its foundation or has its root in a creativity. But if you're not coming from a place of where you're satisfied, then obviously then the motivations would not necessarily be from the same starting point. And then obviously then the repercussions and reverberations of that are also gonna be felt. So it's more or less, and obviously if you've found a passion which generates from your internal creativity, which you've cultivated, then that in itself is a correct thing to have out there and share. Well, not just to pursue, but to share and have others recognize that, because that's the right thing to do. That is you, and that is you expressing then your unique aspect of creation itself. The whole idea of what is the purpose is supposed to do is to recognize, like you said, and harmonize the very, because that's what creation is. Creation in and of itself is a unique balance, and it always is going to reconcile whatever it is, whether we perceive that as being something that can be overcome or not. Nature's gradual tendency is going to be towards truth.
Yes.
Is to be towards rectitude. Is going to be towards harmony. Is going to be towards balance. And creativity is just another contribution in that direction. Yeah, that's what I was.
Absolutely agree, because that is what being true to self is. So, do you follow your inner guidance? That's another area. So, what is your heart telling you? You know, we often hear messages from within about things that we are good at, and our minds might think, "Oh, I need to cultivate this," or "I want to develop this," and you can feel. Some people feel it as like it's a nagging vibration that they feel within themselves continuously in the back of their minds. When they're not operating in their true selves, they do feel it and they do know it. It's, are you going to act on it so that you can live your purpose? So you have your own guiding system within that can help you get from where you are in life and where you need to go. So I guess it's like having a sat nav. You have an inner sat nav or what GPS that can point you from one specific destination to another, so you can get to the location that is complementary to where your energy lies. And I guess it's about starting to look and follow and listening to that inner voice, not being so dismissive, giving yourself a chance is very important. You know, for example, for the system to work, it simply needs to know your beginning location and where you would like to be at the end. So you have a clear, this is my starting point and this is my destination point. And the navigation system figures out the rest by use of an onboard, I guess it's your, like I was saying, GPS, your onboard computer seat, you know, GPS system, sat nav, but you know, it calculates everything and guides you. Have you ever started something that you really wanted to do and things just started slotting into place? You started meeting the people that you're supposed to meet. You started doing different aspects in jobs, for example, all related to your skill set or your disposition. Opportunities start to come in your direction as well with the things that you are following, because your GPS is on when you have those clear understandings within yourself, and you can have your path guided. So listen within, decide where you want to go, clarify your vision, and you unlock your, you can then start to unlock your destination through, say, goal settings, for example, affirmations. Some people do use visualization. For some people it doesn't work for them in that way, but at least having affirmations and goal settings and starting to take actions on those specific goals that will help to move you in the right direction. And with every picture you visualize, you're kind of imprinting that destination on your mind, so that you always have that reference point. And every time you express a preference for something, you're expressing your intention. And all these images and thoughts, we are sending requests to the universe. So this is something else I'd like to talk about. You know, whilst you're going through this experience, if you stay away from, don't interrupt the process by these streams of negative thoughts. Have you ever been in situations and people said, just don't think about it, just don't think about it? And that's so that you're not clouding your vision or clouding your mind with all of these, not clouding your mind with all of these like interruptions and negative blockages that don't allow your GPS to actually navigate you along the route that you know, as you continue moving forward. You know, you then start to put boulders in the road by having that stream of negative thoughts. It's about listening to people when they say, don't think about anything, just keep your mind clear, get rid of those thoughts. And then you find that what you're doing becomes more fluid, and you can just express with that ease. It's just a flow. Have you ever heard people saying, yeah, I just they're just on a treadmill with something, but you can hear the passion when they're talking about the particular thing that they're doing. And yeah, so staying focused. In other words, I guess I'm saying, clarify and stay focused on your vision. And to help you yourself, you could do, say, a vision board or meditation. The exact steps you need to take will appear along the way in form of an internal guidance, creating those ideas and new opportunities for you. So be clear on the things that you like. So be clear about your life purpose. Once you're clear about what you want, and keep in mind, you constantly focus on it. The how will keep showing up. Sometimes just when you need something the most, it turns up right on time, not a moment earlier. That particular opportunity or that particular person that you need to meet to move on to the next stage of that vision that you have when you've tuned in with your own inner being.
Yeah. So I wanted to just dial back because there was a moment in the first segment that we was talking about, and you mentioned the word peace, and you see that is the utmost rightful state, you know, and but the what amongst all of the noise and all of the distraction and everything, that oftentimes it's not recognized that there have been moments where each and every one of us, you know, even if it's only for a fleeting moment, experience that, you know, as a say, for example, a conscious reality. So, and it's always it's kind of about it's about being able to then, you know, work your way back to that, because at some level it's always recognized how that felt. And as you was intimating, we have that aspect that is impressed on people to observe most of the time, which is the reason, the logic, and the rationale. And but then more innately there is the intuitive aspect, and that is more or less switched on all the time, but not necessarily being given the attention that that it where it can put itself to most beneficial use. But because there's that, the access to that piece is always around you. And then, as I said earlier on, it comes down to, you know, what's being focused on. And then oftentimes it's like, you know, it's just another analogy which just occurs to my mind. You'll, like, young children get those little toys to play with, and they have to match up the round peg with the round hole, and the square peg with the square hole, and that kind of thing. And so oftentimes what inhibits and what is an impediment between one finding their peace, developing their craft, their, you know, honing their passion, is that the wrong tools being used. You know, you've got a round peg, and you're trying to work your way towards fulfilling something which requires you to have a square one. And it takes, as you said, it takes development to recognize that. It takes sometimes unplugging and just being still and contemplative, and learning how to get in step with your more intuitive side of yourself, which will then recognize when those opportunities are there, right in front of you. Sometimes you can't see them. There's these books, by the way, and it looks like a blank page with some patterns on it. But if you look at it in a certain way, you'll see there's another image behind it. And it takes a little bit of, it takes time to actually learn how to look at these things so you can see the hidden image. It's a little like that in life. There are things that are right in front of you, but you don't see them.
Yeah, and a true example of that is when you see a photograph being taken by a photographer, and there's parts of the photograph that you go, oh, I didn't know that was there. But the photographer is showing you what you haven't seen. Very often you'll find that, in, especially when they do things, when they photograph, say, street photography or architectural photography, or you know, anything to do with your environment. It's often a keyhole to the universe that you just walk by. You know?
Yeah.
So I thoroughly, agree with that.
Yeah, because I mean, you just reminded me of when I was young. There was this it was a sketch, but if you look at it one way, it looks like the profile of a woman, and then if you look at it another way, it looks like this really ugly hag, and with a really big nose. You know that one? Yeah. So,
It's brilliant.
yeah,
It's
it
brilliant.
is. It really is. And
Just
so,
think, how, how?
yeah. So, and there are a lot of situations, a lot of real life circumstances which, in another way, present those very same, those same circumstances.
Parallels. It's like parallels.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
So
Polarities.
there's something there. You have to navigate through those things, but then you become more and more. You develop more and more of an affinity for that as you go along. With everything else, as you said, you may be very talented in a certain field, but then obviously you still need to put some kind of devotion into it. I wanted to just make sure I steered clear of the word practice. But but that's how. Yeah, but that's one of the watchwords from the African pledge. That was so. The others being discipline and patience and courage, and then also devotion. So, yes. So that was along the lines of the thing you're talking about there, in terms of, realizing that and identifying that, and obviously making the most of the opportunities that are there for you.
For you, absolutely, absolutely. So, as I was saying earlier, for those of you who just tuned in not so long ago, it is about actually realizing how you feel, and then taking a conscious step back and actually looking at the things that you like. As we're saying, we're just reiterating here, and then starting to cultivate those particular areas and start listening to that inner sat nav, your own GPS. Listen to it. When you can see that you're being told, or messages are coming to you, or people are coming to you saying things that positively it could equip you with things to make you move in a forward direction, to actually develop that particular area within yourself, is one of the positive steps. We talked about meditation also. Another area as well is like creating, say, 5 statements and identifying your top 5, or making yourself a list. I like to do this, or I feel great when I do this, and creating those, and then picking off, say, your top 5 or your top 4, for example, and then look at readdress those 4 or 5 areas, and then have them in ranking, so you know which you enjoy first, second, third, and fourth, and then you'll be able to identify which is most important to you, and take the winner of that take the winner of that, and then after you've created your top 5, with that top 1, think, well, how can I cultivate this, and what steps do I need? Don't think of obstacles, look at solutions to how you can actually cultivate those areas in a positive way that isn't going to create a strain or stress for you, something that will be fluid, as we were saying before, so that you can actually start on your real life goal. Think about the times you've experienced the greatest joy in your life. That's a way also to look at the patterns within your life experiences, and group those patterns together, so that you can again put them into. So what you're doing is making boxes, and in each box you're putting the things that you naturally like to do, you enjoy, and we're going into your memory bank of things that you enjoy doing, and ask yourself why you enjoyed it, and then selecting the ones that you enjoy and cultivating them. So for example, somebody could find doing sports. And when they were doing sports, they found it inspiring. They found themselves having goals of things they want to achieve. They found that they wanted to, you know, share that inspiring, that motivation, the way that they feel with others by empowering other people to go for their own dreams and to have more love, joy and abundance in their lives. Since we know that joy is a part of your internal guidance system, telling you when you are on course. So you can determine a lot about your life purpose if you know, if you have that joyous emotion and that sense of peace. That's when you know you're on the right path, as it were. So taking time for yourself. It's like, as I was saying earlier, whatever you want to manifest or whatever you want to do, it needs time and space for that creative energy to appear on the physical plane, so that you have that in order to, it's like petrol or battery, for you to put that drive within, put that energy within your energy field on the physical plane, so you can start to turn the key in that car and start moving forward in the direction that you want.
Yeah, the principles of the universe are very much or all kind of correspond with one another. In fact, correspondence is one of them, which says as above, so below. So you know, whatever creation makes available, you know, is always available to you. So that's where the whole idea of what you're talking about, the innate peace state, is there. And you know, and like I said, all creation is more or less fashioned after that purpose. You know, you're coming from a peaceful place. You creating peace for others in doing those things, however that may express it. And if it's not doing that, then obviously it's out of step with balance.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's not necessarily correct to be doing that. You know. The nature is excellence. The nature goes beyond mediocrity, and you're expressing that yourself. So I've said that before. I like when it talked about the joy, because I was referring to that. It's kind of reiteration of when I was talking about that peace state. We've all acquired it at some point. It's about recognizing that, and then making more of it.
Yes.
You see, the whole idea is that, you know, creation and nature, which are almost like one and the same, has already reconciled those possibilities that you're aiming for. It's already there. I mean, it does sound. I'm making it sound like an out there thing, and it's not really an out there thing. It's an in there thing. You know, so I just want to make that point. I'm not making it seem like you've got to go and get, and that's where sometimes the motivational speaker community goes a little bit wrong, because they're like telling people, you know, you have to make this and you have to go and get. So there's always this kind of emphasis on things being external
when they're internal,
which is a little bit of a misdirection.
Yes, absolutely, because you then, you know, the person is trying to reconnect with self, their spiritual self, so reconnecting with who they are, their natural tendencies and dispositions, and actually operating in life within those areas, the positive attributes of oneself. So when people are guiding you to follow them to go somewhere, or follow them to reach what they feel you should be going to, you're not listening to your inner voice. And so again, you're allowing, perhaps it helps you to feel more motivated, more confident, more this and more that, But does it really answer the question of you finding the and finding that area of yourself to draw it out so that you can manifest and live who you were sent here to be? And I think, you know, being misguided is very dangerous. You know, somebody may start. I think it's very dangerous to tell people that they should be doing this and they should be doing that, and you have to do this and you have to do that. You're not the guru of somebody else's life. They have that internal messenger. You know, they're connected with the Vanetta themselves, not just the other individual. So give them, each person, the space to be guided. If you see something that someone's good at, yes, compliment them. Actually, show an interest. You know, if you hear, you know, for example, someone may sing all the time, and no one's, you know, they've not thought of it as an area to cultivate, but they're very good at it. You know, instead of pointing them to something else, show them, you know, you're really good at singing. Have you ever thought of plant that seed? Have you ever thought of cultivating? Have you thought of developing that? Have you thought of going to a vocal coach?
Yeah.
You know, if you like drumming, have you ever thought of going to, you know, an expert drummer and actually learning how to develop and how to use the drum effectively? How to attune yourself to it. A drummer would know better than myself how you align yourself to be able to play that if you have a natural tendency towards it. The same in other areas. So align your goals with your life purpose and your passions. So it's not just recognizing them. The next state would be to align them with your life purpose. So, for example, you found this tendency that you have, or this skill or this gift that's innate to you. Now, how do you make this into... So you make this into your life purpose. So what are your goals that you're going to do to be able to achieve that manifestation of living in that life purpose? You know, so aligning your goals with your life purpose and passions in everything you do, I guess, and organize your activities around it. Everything you do should be kind of an expression of your purpose. An activity or a goal that doesn't fit that formula or that path that you're trying to take, don't work on it. Set, you know, your purpose is really critical, I guess, when you're setting professional goals. So when it comes to setting personal goals, you have more flexibility then. But if you want to say learn how to ski, if skiing is something people like,
what I was thinking, because I was looking back, I was just going over this. So I was looking through this list, the 16 truths of the ether, and alongside, or well, following right after the happy, successful, and fulfillment as a birthright is also that you should grow and obtain wisdom along the way, and the emphasis there is on growth. And when it comes to creativity, it's more about growth than attaining certain, you know, levels of accomplishment. As you just said something there, and I'd love to reiterate it, although I can't word it the way you did. I was just immediately can't remember. But you're saying something like within that, you know, developing that within that overall purpose, which is what we were talking about, and that's where the growth is.
yes, absolutely.
That's where the growth is, you know. Not so much that the purpose is the goal, but the goal actually exists within ongoing purpose, ongoing focus, ongoing growth, and then, you know, and that state, the peace, really, as you said, that's the guide.
Yes.
That's the guide. That's the result you get back.
Yes.
You know, from creation, from nature, from the universe, however anyone wants to put it, that's the result you get back. And if that result isn't what's coming back, then a kind of a detour's needed.
That should be your alarm bell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely. It should be.
Yes.
You know, unless your goal is disorder.
Well, yeah.
And you know, there's some of them
Absolutely.
out. There's some of them out there. So vast numbers of people within the idea of another purpose.